Hi, Kitty Pies. It's Lanikia, and I am coming to you with another episode of The Good Doctor. This is season 5, episode. Is it? It's episode 9. Yippee ki Um. So Leah shows up at Jordan's place because she got in that big fight with Sean the other last week. So she shows up at Jordan's place because she needs a place to stay because she left Sean. So Salen and has made Andrew chief of surgery. Now, I feel so bad for saying I like Salen at first because now I'm like, girl, when are you gonna leave? Like, don't let this be her first and last season. She's made Andrew's chief of surgery, but neglected to tell Lim that she has done this. So Andrews is in the office like unpacking and everything, and she like Lim comes into her office like, what is going on? And he said, Salen didn't tell you. No, she did not, sir. So then we see that, okay, so Park and Morgan get a patient, and he has fallen, but he can't feel anything in his arm. So they're like, okay, I'm just gonna wrap this patient up. So they're like, okay, let's look at him, and they find out they need to go in and do surgery and everything. And so they recommend the surgery, and he's like, I don't know, because if I do the surgery, I might not, because there's a chance he could be paralyzed. He could not gain the feeling back and everything. But he's like, but right now I can still lift my son because his son is he needs a lot of help because he can't walk and everything. So they convince him to do surgery. As they're prepping him and they're doing the surgery and everything for him, Lim is the one who does it, and the people in the surgery room are like, I'm looking for another job because Salen has ruined this whole thing. They don't want to work. And okay, so then Salen is like, she has a appointment with another hospital, and no, Lim is like, she has an appointment with another hospital. Now, she has this appointment because when she was unpacking in her new space, Salen comes in and tells her, oh, I wouldn't bother. You got to, they're looking for a head of trauma at this hospital. I'll shoot you the number. She pretty much telling her, go ahead and quit. Go ahead, because she's demoted her down. And so Lim is just like, I have an interview. And everyone's like, well, if you're leaving, oh, I can't do this. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this or whatever. So then we see that, oops, I went all the way down on my notes, sorry. So then we see that Sean and Jordan, okay, so they work on the senior. So Allie and AJ are guest starring on this role for this are guest starring on this role for this. And so the singer they're working on has lost her voice, Nellie, and she has to speak with the machine. You know how they make you sound robotic, so she has to speak with the machine. Well, now they're thinking, oh, we can work on your vocals and we could actually fix it, but the surgery is very risky, and Sean is apprehensive about the surgery from the very beginning. He told Andrews, this is not a very risky surgery. But of course, the patient, who's a singer, because they're playing singers, she's like, go for it. I haven't been able to sing, and her sister has went on to have this huge career. And so there's a little bit of jealousy there, and she wants to be the talent again. And we find out as well, whenever her sister comes, Lexi, we find out that she actually was driving the car when her sister had the accident. So there's a little guilt on Lexi's part, who has went on and had this career, that she was the one who caused her sister to have this accident, which halted her career, and she was so very talented. So then we see that, okay, so Sean and Jordan talk, and she says Leah is sleeping on my couch. Are y'all not getting married? And he's like, no. And she tries to tell Sean like Leah said those things years ago. I was like, how are y'all flipping this? But okay, maybe I was just over. Maybe I just don't like Leah, so I was just like, but they seem to think that Sean is in the wrong, and that he should forgive Leah because she doesn't feel that way now. Okay, so and they're telling him he's overthinking the surgery because of his emotions, the way he's feeling about Leah. But Sean is like, no, like I'm telling you it's a bad surgery because it's a bad surgery. It has nothing to do with Leah. But they keep telling him like, no, you just feel like that because of Leah. And then they, even when they practice doing this surgery, Sean tells them again, like, this is a bad surgery. We've tried this 8 times and we puncture something each time. I don't think we should do this. But once again, they tell him, it's fine. And Leah is clouding his judgment. And then he tells, he tells, um, Andrews, well, you're dating Salen, and Jordan kicks him under, kicks him. He said, why did you kick me? Because she's like, you cannot tell this man that his judgment is clouded. But okay. Um, so then we see that, okay, so then they go in for the father to do his surgery, and it doesn't go well at all. So now he's paralyzed, and so he can't walk now, so he's not going to be able to take care of his son. Now while he's in surgery, his son gets overexcited and emotional because it's taking so long for the surgery, and he said this is exactly what happened to mom, and mom died, so the son has to go to ICU because he's very upset. So when the dad comes out, he finds out he's paralyzed, and then he finds out his son is in ICU, and he goes to see his son, and he lets them know, because the dad was a principal, but he quit because he had to take care of his son. So he lets his son know, he not, because he can't walk now, and neither one of them can walk. He said it's going to be too hard for us, and so you're going to have to go to San Francisco and everything. And the son gets so upset, but while he's getting upset, Morgan looks and she said, are you seeing double? Because she's like, oh, this could be good news. So they go and take the son for an MRI. Cody, with the son name, the dad is Joe. They take him for an MRI, and Parks is just like, you just feel bad about what happened to Joe, so you're shooting for a miracle. Well, it turns out that they are able to help Cody, the son. He needs a surgery, so they go and tell Joe and everything, and he says, okay, let's do it. Now, while all of this is going on, he was hesitant at first, but they said it could like let you guys be together, so he says, okay, let's do it. Now, while all this is going on, Lim has had her interview at the hospital that's hiring for a head of trauma, and they tell her, they said, I bet it's difficult now that Salen's there with her Ethicare code and all of that. And they told her, that's home. How are you going to be able to leave home? And she said, it just doesn't feel like home anymore. But the more she thinks about it, the more she's like, I'm not going to let her run me out and everything. And she tells Glassman this, and Glassman just tells her, take the job and let it go. And she said, this is home, and I'm not going to let her mess up home. But he's not with her. But she goes in when they're doing Joe's surgery, before they paralyzed him, before they went in and realized he was going to be paralyzed. As they're doing the surgery, she tells them that she's going to fight, and so they're all like, we're with you. And Park says, I only have 4 months left. And he was like, and I try to keep my head down and stay out of trouble and everything. And they're like, yes, we understand. And he said, but that was before she killed the baby, so I'm in. So Parks is in. Morgan is not in, and we are not surprised by this. And Jordan is not in. I'm not surprised by that either. And Sean said he's not in because he's too emotional. Everybody telling him he's emotional, so he cannot be in. He's too emotional for this. But so getting back to Cody and Joe, so they do the surgery on Cody, and it works out well. And they all decide we're gonna take Salem down. While they're, how they talk to each other while they're doing the surgery, we're gonna take her down and everything. And so they're like, find some people who want to help. So they go on about their business. They pick up. Lim tries to ask Glassman for help. He not helping help her. He not doing it. And so they're like, okay, that's fine. So, and at the end, Cody and his dad end up having a happily ever after. Everything is fine with them. So that allows us the storyline to focus more on Nellie and Lexi, who we find they really don't, they snipe at each other, and because it's anger on one side, but she misses the sister, and it's guilt on the other side, but she misses her sister as well. And Sean sees this, that they really do, even though they feel that way towards each other, that they miss each other. And he goes to Leah and he tells Leah about, how he used to get bullied in the locker room. And he said the coach would try to tell people, don't bully him or whatever, but they did it anyways. So the coach just told him, I'll give you a B if you just don't come to class anymore. He said, but he got the B, but he was still getting bullied in outside of the gym class. And so the coach, all he did was make him feel weak and useless and everything. And Leah was like, and I made you feel like that by getting rid of those surveys. I hope we never talk about this again. But so she understands where he's coming from, and then they agree to make up. They just realize, both of them realize they're gonna have to put in a lot of work to get where they need to be, so that both of them are comfortable with each other and feel like they can be 100% open and honest with each other. And she said Jordan's couch is not that comfortable, so she's gonna move back home. And the wedding's probably gonna be still, they're probably gonna get married at the end of the season. I hope. I don't know how it's gonna go with Salem though. Okay. So getting back to Lexi and Nellie, oh no, she's having throat surgery. Now, she had she went into like a crash earlier before they even got into surgery. But Lim is just like, but Dr. Andrews is wanting to do this surgery. And Sean keeps saying, no, we should not do it. But he's like, when we get her, when we calm her down, get her back, if she still wants to do it, we're going to do this surgery. Of course she wants to do it. Her sister tries to talk her out of it. And that's when they have a breakthrough with each other, because the sister said, what mom and dad gave us in Christmas '99. They gave me a vanity set, and she said, yeah, Nellie, the one that her vocals are messed up. She said, yeah, because you're so pretty. And Lexi said, no, because I wasn't the talented one. And so she said, what do you mean? Nellie was like, you sell out arenas. She said, but you write like Joni Mitchell. And so they decided to do that. Like, if the surgery doesn't work or whatever, she could be the voice and she could still write, and they could be able to work together again. Because they miss each other. So then we see she goes in for her surgery, because Sean told Lexi, you need to talk to your sister, because this might be the last chance. And he was absolutely right, because when they get in that surgery, it does not go well, and she starts to bleed out, and her blood pressure drops, and she flatlines, and Andrew is pumping and he's working on her, and Sean is like, I told you, during surgery, Lim and all of them are Lim, Salen, Dr. Glassman, you know how they're up top, above, they're all looking down. I don't know if Lim had stayed, but I know Dr. Glassman and Salen are there. And Sean goes off. He said, it doesn't matter what Salem's wants. It doesn't matter. You're not, you're the chief or whatever, and you're the boss. He said, none of that matters when it's a bad surgery. And this was not a good surgery, because now she's dead. Well, her clotting factor or something, they said, was really strong. So she brought her own self back to life, because she had flatlined on them. And so after that, they see that, they were in the room, her, Jordan, and Andrews, and she starts to talk. So she can talk, and everything went fine. And Andrews and Sean are happy. Excuse me, Andrews and Jordan are happy or whatever. But Sean leaves, and Andrews knows, like, even though you could tell that he could tell that Sean's upset about this, and Jordan, she's just like, she just wants to get ahead. So Sean goes to, leaves out the room, and then we see Salen and Andrews talking, and she's trying to comfort Andrews, and like, the surgery worked out, and that's all that matters in the end. And he was like, that was just luck. Like, that wasn't really medical and all that. That was just luck. And then Sean comes, Glassman goes to Sean, and he tries to talk to Sean, and Sean's like, there's nothing you can say to me. You were wrong. Andrews was wrong. That was a bad surgery. And we're not supposed to be doing that kind of stuff to, to the patients and everything. And so he's like, and Gossman is just like, what are you supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? You like, there's nothing you can do. And he's like, yes, there is. And so Sean interrupts Andrews and Salen's all comfy, her trying to comfort him, and he says, Dr. Andrews, he was like, that was a bad medical decision. And Dr. Andrews used to be a good surgeon, a good doctor. And now he's not because of you. And I don't want you making me a bad doctor. So I quit. So Andrews is like, Sean, or whatever. But nah, Sean is like, I'm out. And so then the last scene is Dr. Glassman going up to Lim, and he tells her, I'm in. And she says, what should I say? I wrote it down. Like, let's get her bandit butt out of town. So they're going after her. Now the previews for the next episode seems really good because she's firing somebody. I don't know who it is, but she's firing somebody. But they're gonna take her down as they should. But there's a lot of, well, I believe it's a lot of season stuff. I don't know how many episodes they are, because remember when seasons used to be like 24, 22 episodes? Well, they're on episode 9, and this is like the second half. So I don't know how many episodes they're going to have. I don't know if it's going to be like 14, 16, if it's a short season just because of the pandemic. Hopefully, I mean, since everybody lifting stuff, and hopefully they get a longer season next year. But I mean, I don't know. It could just be 16 episodes. Well, that might actually be what it was the previous season. I just don't know because I don't be counting them like that. But anyways, it was a really good episode. I'm looking forward to seeing how many other people are going to get on board, because as of right now, it's just Parks, the two ladies in surgery that help, Lim, Dr. Glassman, Sean. So that leaves room for one more person, right? Because Morgan said no. Jordan said no, but we knew those two were going to say no. So it leaves room for one more person. I don't know who it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be Asher or not. I don't know, but that was a good episode tonight, and I'm looking forward to next week. I will talk to you guys then.